Next up, we have another veteran to PechaKucha. Amongst fancy people, he calls himself an award-winning beer and wine director. Amongst friends, he calls himself a wine guy. But we have Jarrod Jabre.
Perhaps the most common question one gets when one is a professional, who like myself is, what wine should I have with? Tonight, I'll endeavor to give you a crash course on answering that question. Wine pairing, it's not just for penguins anymore. Before we begin, I want to make one thing very clear. There are no rules to wine pairing. Read any Wine Spectator article where multiple wine experts give their pairing tips, and they almost always will come up with completely different answers. That said, there is a real chemistry and art that goes into a great pairing. If you remember 3 basic rules of pairing, you'll be way ahead of half the people writing wine lists for a living. Before we discuss these 3 rules, here's a question you need to ask yourself whenever you're deciding what wine to drink. Rather, it's a statement. You must ask, I'm having blank in a blank sauce seasoned with blank. I'm having blank in a blank sauce seasoned with blank. Excellent. This PowerPoint is going to stick on this slide until you learn that. There we go. So if you just take this at face value, it sounds like you're eating at an English restaurant. But those blanks are very important. So one more time, and I want to hear everyone. I'm having blank in a blank sauce seasoned with blank. Rule number 1, that first blank that we've got there is this. What rule most of us know? It's about the meat. It's about your protein. You ask anyone when you go to pair your wine, it's, well, I'm having red meat, or I'm having white meat, red with red, white with white. More or less correct. So, that blank, your entree, is often a source of protein, not necessarily meat, but that's how we tend to learn the rule. So, take this, reds with red meat is pretty accurate. Light reds or whites with white meat or seafood, whites with veggies. This is simple stuff here. So, our second rule here. I'm having a blank served in a blank sauce. Our first blank is our meet cute rule. Our second blank's rule can trump that first rule, or serve in its place in the absence of a strong protein, such as pasta, per se. Sauce. Sauces can overpower proteins, or in many dishes be the main sources of flavor, acidity, sweetness, etc. This rule is very similar to the first with how you deal with it and how you break it down. Often, with your meaty red sauces, you drink your red wines. White wine with a citrus or an herbal sauce, light reds or heavy whites with a cream sauce, and you should have a bottle of Sangiovese, the grape in Chianti, in your house at all times. At all times. Our third rule, I'm having blank, served in a blank sauce, seasoned with blank. So our first blank is our meet cute rule. Our second blank is our get saucy rule. Our third blank's rule can overpower both of those first 2 rules when it is present. The Brits heard my joke and they're coming for me. Spice. And here I mean spices, seasonings, sugars, bitters, all the fun stuff. They can dictate your pairing above and beyond the food which it accents. There are too many nuances here to really list on a slide, but here are some of my favorites. Residual sugar can take the burn off of spices, or if you're a sadist, you can get a nice peppery red and go for the gold. Similarly, sweet and salty go together like chocolate and nuts. Yes. Acidic whites bring out the herbal notes without heightening bitter as other whites can. Now, there's a really good chance that that waiter knows what they're talking about. It's about equal to the chance that they haven't a clue. What's important to know is that the more you are able to tell them about what you want and like, the more likely they are to be able to tell you what you want. But remember, only you know what you like, and you should get what you want. Now, there are tons of rules like these. The most important is drink the wine from where the food is from. This doesn't always work, but the odds are really in your favor, i.e. Cabernet and steak. We made that up for a reason. Do not hesitate to ask questions. Get advice. If you're in a restaurant worth patronizing, you'll be the better for asking, and you'll let the waiter or sommelier get to do what they love, which is help you find that perfect pairing. When all else fails, or if you're overwhelmed, just remember that top line right there. Drink what you want. That's the only rule that matters. A good friend is better than a good pairing any day. Now, let's try some examples. So, you're at Vicino's. So, you're having pasta in a red sauce seasoned with the House Montepulciano. Seriously, walk down there, have the House Montepulciano. You'll pay like $5 for a liter of it, and it's phenomenal. Because they're serving Italian food. They know what Italian wine should go with it. It's that simple. Now, the classics up here on Colesville. So you're having steak in no sauce if you're doing it right. Season with just a little bit of zest. Trust your instincts. Go with the Cabernet. If you want to kick it up a notch, go with the Zinfandel. Nice, big, red. These are things that you probably already in the back of your head know. Trust them. Third, Thai Derm. I'm having it, yeah, it really doesn't matter. Anytime that you're eating a conduit for seasoning, just get a sweet white wine. No comment. If all else fails, follow me and grab a Denizens.